You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black Hollywood. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live, This Week. Featuring news and commentary on This Week in Black Hollywood. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host for Black Hollywood Live This Week, Dario Kristen.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Black Hollywood Live This Week. I'm your host, Dario Kristen, and here joining me in the studio is Courtney Stewart.
What's up, everybody?
And DJ Jesse J.
What up?
On today's show, we're going to cover a variety of different topics, including updates on the Trayvon Martin case, as well as 9 relationships steps for Black people. I'm excited to talk about that one, actually. All right, and also 50 Cent's baby mama drama. That's another one I want to get into. But first, we're going to read the results from last week's show, which is, should the N-word be abolished completely? You guys voted. 78% of you said yes, 4% said no, and 18% is undecided. I'm surprised that the undecided is so high, though, honestly.
I'm shocked.
I'm surprised it's not higher, actually.
Really?
Really?
Undecided?
I mean the yeses, I'm surprised how high it is, but yeah.
I'm not surprised on the yeses. I thought it actually, the 18% would be for the undecided would be.
Well, you're just
mixed
going
in.
with your thought.
Yeah, I am just going with my thought. Exactly. Oh, you trying to? We're starting Fridays off like this.
The library
already.
is open, people.
All right, but first, also, I want to tell everybody what the buzz meter question is for this week: is will there be a riot if George Zimmerman is acquitted? You guys let us know your results. We'll read them next week, and I have my opinion about it, but I'll save it for next week as well.
Well, no, we're going to talk about it eventually.
Well, we are going to talk about it a little bit today. So we have some trending topics, apparently.
We do. And before we get into Zimmerman, congratulations to Amber Rose and Wiz Khalifa, who recently got married.
Got hitched.
I'm happy for them.
They've been together since 2011. Obviously, they had a baby, too. Now, they were engaged in March of 2012, and they said they wanted to do, a quick little ceremony in the courts to get their licensed marriage. And then they'll do the party later this year, mostly because Amber didn't want to be pregnant in her wedding dress.
Amen to that,
because she
girl.
wants to be able to give it to her daughter or, their child. And she doesn't want to be pregnant. So, I mean, hey.
Most people don't want to be pregnant in their wedding dress.
Yeah.
It's not really what you want.
But then you could be like, you were there with me.
No.
Exactly.
No,
you
that's
were
gross.
a symbol of our love during the process. That's the way I
Your
see
wedding day
it.
is supposed to be the most beautiful day. You look the most beautiful that you ever have. Like, that's your moment. And being pregnant, it's like, yes, it's beautiful, but that's like, nah, I don't want it. Body-wise, you don't want to be that.
All right.
I hear you.
Nobody
It's
wants
different
that.
for females.
So
I guess.
fair enough, but congratulations to Wiz and Amber. So another congratulations to damn Jay-Z because he is all up in the news. His new album Magna Carta, Holy Grail came out. The title just kills me. And I was really excited because I know we talked about him becoming like the face of Samsung.
Yeah.
So actually, Daryl and I were out one night, and I found out that I could download Jay-Z's album before
free.
anyone else
on
could
your
for
phone.
free.
Yep.
So I was super excited, downloaded it, heard it. It's an amazing album. Obviously, tons of people feel the same way because he has already gone platinum.
What a smart business move for him, though.
Amazingly smart.
That like you said, he obviously already went platinum. It reminds me of what Prince did a couple years back when he had the concert. Of course,
Just kidding.
excuse me, the Musicology tour where he had everyone who came to the tour, they got a free CD. So he automatically went platinum, just off of like a couple tour dates. So it's a smart business move. I ain't mad at Jay-Z.
And actually Jay-Z kind of changed the game because now, so the deal with Samsung was he sold a certain amount of the album to Samsung. And then every time someone went and downloaded it for free, it counted as an album sale. So he already went platinum before the album had
Genius.
even came out.
Hit stores, yeah.
Because they still don't even know what the actual physical units are sold until next Wednesday. They're predicting that he's going to sell about 525,000 copies in 1 week, physical copies.
That's cool.
And he actually is the first artist that kind of changed the whole recording industry association, the way that they vote for how many albums you've sold. Now they're including, what's it called? Online sales.
Okay.
So this was something that was it was a big war
Cheers
for
to
if
him.
you were Britney fans versus, what was it, Journey fans. That was a big war. So congratulations. Beyonce's excited about it. She's been Instagram about her baby.
I know.
Hey.
She's Instagram.
And
that
look how
picture
far
of
we've
him.
come. I mean, remember when rap music couldn't even get a category at like the American Music Awards? Remember that? The Grammys, we couldn't even have a category. Now
Hip-hop.
we got where it's platinum before the album's even released.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and it's proof. I mean, just the fact that he sold 1 million copies online versus they're worrying about him selling 525,000 physical copies and units in store. It's like,
And way
Come
to
on.
take over the digital world.
Yeah.
Yes.
come on.
And still make
It's all
And be able to
cash
make a
dollars
lot of
because
money.
that's
Make them
been
dollars.
the problem for quite some time is being able to make it money.
pay for that
even
baby
digital.
blue and baby number 2 if,
Right.
if
On
it's
the
true.
way.
So looks like Baby Blue is well off on her way.
Yeah, baby blue is good.
She's good.
Well, so people aren't worried about Baby Blue, but they're worried about Willow Smith because Willow Smith has released a new single this summer called "Summer Fling," and which is funny because we thought she was going into retirement at the age of
At the
12.
12, yeah.
You know, she just wanted to live life like a normal kid, and people are kind of worrying and saying, "Well, what does she think being a normal kid consists of?" Because they're kind of worried about the music video and the message that it's sending out, and if Jada Pinkett or Will should kind of oversee and change some things in it. So in the new video of Summer Fling, here's some problems that people have with it. One, it looks like she's hanging out with a bunch of late 20 or 30-year-olds.
They do look older.
Including the man that she is calling her summer fling with. So they're kind of like, why is it all boys? There's hardly any girls in it. There's a lesbian scene in it. and
Are
it's
we
like,
sure that there's I mean, I didn't really see
well,
the
they're
lesbian
calling the
scene.
two girls holding hands in the pond lesbian.
Oh, okay. It's like the pre-lesbian.
Whatever it is. But it's just like, at the age of 12, what is this video promoting?
I hear you.
Then next we get a fake British accent, which is supposed to be adult and sultry. I must have missed that part.
What?
That might have been a reach right there.
So then she sings about walking on the beach hand in hand at midnight.
Nothing good happens after the lights go out.
Cinderella
The
turned into a
street
damn
lights come
pumpkin. I don't know
on.
what you gonna do over there, girl. Then she talks about, she says, "I love you" to her boyfriend in it. And they're worried, at the age of 12, should a 12-year-old be worrying about a serious, committed relationship, holding hands at midnight on the beach? And they're also worried because the boyfriend is one of the guys that looks like he could be 30 years old.
Okay, but here's the thing.
I'm not
All
even
right.
gonna read the last. I'll read
No,
the
read
la-
it, read
The
it. Read it.
reason the last
The
one.
last one is just the dumb. The last one's like, y'all, I could have rode with y'all until y'all put this last one.
will make us laugh at least.
In the very end, where everybody's standing around in a circle holding sparklers. Now that's just an unsafe practice.
Wow, not sparklers. But okay, so we've talked about this on the show a couple times, a couple weeks back about Will Smith and his parenting. We've had, we showed the extra interviews with him and Jaden and how he basically, he and Jada's style is that the kids can pretty much do what they want as long as, they kind of explain the process of their thought pattern with their choices. And I mean, this goes back to this video here. And if that's their parenting style, maybe that works for them. Maybe, the kids are growing up in the industry and maybe it's okay,
It's not okay.
You
Here's
guys
why.
are looking at me like
It's
I'm
not
crazy, so
okay.
it's not
It's
okay.
not okay,
Why?
because
Why? Why is it not okay?
Because it's like, okay, it's okay for Rihanna, who's someone who is above 21, who says, you know what, I don't claim to be, a role model to these kids. She doesn't. Beyonce does claim to be a role model. Rihanna's not really giving that off. If you go to see a Rihanna show, you know what you're getting with
Right.
Rihanna. My problem with this is, I don't know, and I guess it's because I worked with the Boys and Girls Club, and I had a traumatic incident working there with a 7-year-old boy and a 13-year-old
should we know
girl.
what happened with this
Oh.
traumatic?
Well, I'm just gonna state the roundabouts of it.
Okay.
7-year-old boy, 13-year-old girl, basically caught the 7-year-old boy with his hands in the cookie jar.
Oh wow.
So when pulled apart and sat down and talked, and it wasn't his hand actually. Let's just keep that.
Oh
yeah.
wow! Oh wow! We're
No.
taking this story to a different
Okay, but I really
place.
want, and I'm only saying this because I really want this message to get across. When we pulled the kids aside into separate rooms and we started talking about it to the 7-year-old boy, he said, because that's what real N-words do.
Oh, Lord.
So my thing is he got that from somewhere, and I'm not saying Willow Smith is promoting that type of sexual encounter, but it does. Honestly, actually, it does, because it's just promoting younger and younger. I just feel like sex is being sold to younger generations.
Agreed.
Every year we push the boundaries, we push the age limit. It's like next year I mean, at this point, for a 7-year-old to do that, it's like, well, yeah, duh.
Yeah, but
Seven-year-old-
what can you do about it now? I mean, like,
Well, it's not us.
It's not us. We're
no, but I mean, like,
commenting
how
on
does it change? Because
It's the media. Honestly, it's,
yeah, but we're not gonna. That means that we would have to stop reality
No,
TV.
but,
we have to
but
stop
at the same
television
time,
shows,
it's
stop
Will
watching
Smith.
videos.
It's Will Smith and Jada, excuse me, who sit there and say, you know what, there is a problem in our community, and I don't think, you know, Willow, like, because name one pop artist right now who's young and is really singing about something that you were doing at 15.
Well, I mean, at 12, I don't think the subject matter is the issue. I think that 12 and 13, you're middle schoolers, oh, she got a boyfriend, oh, she got a girlfriend. It's a level of learning and discovering love, relationships, whatever you want to call it as a kid. I think the imagery issue is something else, and that's why this video has become problematic, because primarily because it looked like grown people in this
Yeah, it
video
did.
with her. And I
It
think
looked
that
like Abercrombie and
communicate-
Fitch ad.
Yeah, I mean, that communicates something very different than, I don't remember, I can't think of the Mariah Carey video where there was like 2 little kids, it was summertime, they were like on tire swings, and God, if the video will come to my brain. Either way, it was a young love kind of situation, but the imagery was much more
Wholesome.
innocent. And I think that's where this goes awry.
Like the crotch shorts on her.
People are in bikinis sitting at the pool or wherever they were. Like, it just got very sexual.
It's just
for
very
preteens.
developed 12-year-olds.
And I mean, you can sing about love because they have their version of love, puppy love, like we used to call it. Like, I'm not opposed to that, so to speak. But
Yeah,
it's a
12. You
little bit-
hold hands at 12.
You hold hands.
You kiss,
you
possibly.
probably got your first kiss around 12 or 13.
maybe a French kiss somewhere in
I
there.
was a very secluded child.
I was.
guess.
I mean, I'm not speaking for myself. My dad locked me in a closet most of my
12
life.
years
so-
old,
No,
was
but I
like-
mean, I'm sorry, but 12 years old, that's like 7th grade.
Yeah.
And kids were French kissing and
Yeah,
doing all
so
kinds of stuff at 12.
You're discovering, but
you
there
know.
still needs to be a level, because our society is over-sexualized for children.
Right.
And I think there needs to be a stronger hand put down. Like, maybe we don't need to do that, like, so much. Like, let's just sit and talk about it, or, like, just be clothed.
Yeah, but I just don't think that's the society that we're in
Well, that's
now.
the problem.
Yeah,
We're
but how do
not-
we, that's what I'm saying, is like, how do we change that?
By saying something about this being a problem. And by asking and demanding that
Okay.
it change. By not buying it if we think there's a problem with it.
And at this point, she don't care because she already got money. She just
Exactly.
did it. She did it on some Paris Hilton-ish. Like,
What a
hey,
conversation
I can do it
about
because
it.
I did it.
Conversation can change things.
So, speaking of conversation, let's have the big conversation. George Zimmerman refused to go on the stand.
He was smart.
Yeah. He
Good
chose
choice.
not to. So the defense has rested their case in the Trayvon Martin case, and it's kind of thrown everybody for a little loop here because people are kind of worried that everything didn't fully get out, and Trayvon's side was not really, what's the word? Not
Represented.
represented. I was going to say exposed, but that's not. Represented correctly.
A lot of people are complaining about that.
Well, I think everybody's giving the prosecutors a really hard time. And I think they had a hard case, and they did the best they could with what they had. And
I mean, yeah,
It's
'cause
left
it's not
to
like
6 women
Trayvon's
to
here
decide.
it's not like there was somebody there to actually speak on it
Yeah.
besides that. But I do say, I mean, go ahead. Why do you think it? I understand why it's smart for him not to speak, but in your guys' eyes, doesn't that kind of make him look a little more guilty?
not to me.
No?
No. Because-
Honestly, not to me. I would actually want to hear him, though. I really would want to hear what he has to say about it. You know what I mean? He's the major player in this. The other major player's dead. So I want to hear what he has to say. You know, it agitates me actually that he doesn't want to talk. he needs to say something.
I don't want to hear anything else he has to say, but it would have been nice to have him cross-examined because we've
Yes.
already heard him recap it multiple times in many different ways, whether it was through his interview, through the whole like walkthrough he did with the police on video that they got to see, through all the recordings we heard
So
of
then
him
why
giving
do
a
you think he
statement.
didn't?
Because he probably cannot withstand, it would not be a great idea to withstand the cross-examination. Like, I think they could poke some holes in it and
Oh,
get
for
him,
sure.
and that's the whole point.
They
But
can get him.
that's,
He's scared of that.
no,
That's- yeah.
most defense attorneys are gonna advise you not to testify if the case seems pretty solid
Yeah.
in your favor, and
Yeah.
it's pretty solid in his favor.
And see now they're talking about, we talked about this earlier, but they're talking about the riots and all of that stuff. That's the potential of happening if he's acquitted. And you know, I don't want a riot to happen, but I think it could potentially happen. I mean,
It's
this
just like,
kid's-
okay, the riot happens, and why? What does that prove?
It doesn't. I'm not
What
saying
does
That's
that
kind of the
do?
point, yeah.
it doesn't prove anything per se, but I don't know. It's just, I'm not saying it's right, but I just feel like it's just such an injustice if he does not go to
But
jail.
okay, now legally, if you were a part of the jury and you can't think with your heart, you have to think with the facts that are given because that's the country that we are here in.
I hear you.
Where do you think these 6 jurors are going to go?
I think he's going to get acquitted. Honestly.
I mean, I have to agree. I listened to the case for almost all of it actually, because I watched CNN like a junkie, and I've heard as much as I had access to, and I just don't see, based on what they've described in terms of what you need
Yeah.
to find a guilty verdict, I don't think it
don't think
exists. And
yeah.
I think it's sad because I think he deserves to be punished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily totally agree that it's racial profiling entirely or he's a racist, so to speak. I don't actually think he's a racist. I think he's got prejudices just like a lot of us
Yep.
have
Yep.
that
I agree.
nobody wants to freaking admit to, and something awful happened because of those prejudices.
Yes, I agree.
So, I mean, it would be awesome if he had just like walked up and like, I can't believe I did this, and did like a couple years in jail just because you still killed somebody.
I mean, in today's trial, they were still showing photos of Trayvon with his shirt off. They were trying to prove some points about that, about how he's a gangster lifestyle because of the shirt being off and
It's just
all that kind of
absurd.
stuff. The picture that they're painting about him, I guess excuse my language, but it pisses me off more because there's so many young kids who are like him now. So
Yes.
I feel like if George Zimmerman gets off, that's ammunition to look at all these young kids who are the same way and to profile them in that format. And we've been talking about profiling for the last few weeks, and I'm tired of this damn profiling as it is. So it's just going to give more ammunition to profile those kids because, oh, they have this in their phone, or they have their hats to the back, or they wear hoodies. It's stupid.
And it's
so,
it's frustrating too, though, that in the case they aren't allowed to label it racial profiling. Like they're only allowed to say he was profiled. And I'm like, at some point, will we just freaking admit it?
Yeah.
That when you see a tall black, not even tall, a black man in the dark, looking semi what we consider hood like he's got a hoodie on or he doesn't look, his clothes are a little bit baggier than whatever, people think something.
Yeah.
And some of those reasons why they think those things are legitimate. Some of them are not.
Right.
And if we would just like get to that place where we can stop pretending like it's not true, we would maybe go somewhere. But that's Florida is going to be an unhappy place.
There's gonna be what scares me about that, and I hope, like I said, I hope that there is no riots if it goes in George Zimmerman's favor. But the problem is because if that happens, it sets us back.
Well, and also, I mean, it kind of, if court cases, they always go back to previous court cases. So and one big comment that they've been saying about this situation is, what if the roles were reversed?
Right.
Yeah.
So now moving forward, if the role is reversed and someone was to do something out of the context because of this trial and was to take it to court, it's almost like, well, wait, why did George Zimmerman get off on it? Or
Yeah.
I don't know. It's that's a mess. I would not want to be that judge. I would not
I
want to
wouldn't
be
wanna be
those
those
jurors.
jurors.
I would not want to be the prosecutor. I
Well,
would not wanna
even
be-
the jurors, like their selection process with that, I have a problem with. I mean, to me, it's not a very it's obviously not a diverse camp of jurors. I get why they feel like they need to do this, but I don't know. I just think overall there's a lot of flaws in this case. Just
We're humans.
general.
Our justice system is flawed.
But you know it's not flawed. It's AfterBuzz TV. That's our sister site here at Black Hollywood Live, and we need you guys to go check us out. We do all of your favorite after shows for whatever your favorite TV show is. As soon as you're done watching it, check out AfterBuzzTV.com. Here at Black Hollywood Live, we're always creating and developing new things for you guys, and AfterBuzz TV is one of them. So make sure you guys check that out, as well as helping us here at Black Hollywood by supporting us. We give you guys this free content every week, and the creators of Black Hollywood have actually created an amazing movie. It's called The Adventures of Serial Buddies. Make sure you guys check it out. It's on iTunes, available for download for like
Get it
literally
now.
the amount of a Happy Meal. So as you're watching Black Hollywood and discussing these hot topics with us, or checking out a portrait or something, purchase The Adventures of Serial Buddies, and then you can watch that after. So peace.
Well said,
Make you
Jesse. Well
laugh.
said.
And the money earned from that, if Dario so chooses, will go to funding more shows here at BHL. But Dario likes to keep the man down.
Oh.
He don't want to
You
add more
can't say that on
shows.
a black TV or
Tara,
black
I want
show.
my hip hop
white
show.
man is
The
keeping
white man in the
being
booth,
held
angry white
down.
man is saying the black man's holding him down. That's not the proper thing to say.
Look at
right
that.
now.
This is like this.
Get
You
your
just
foot off
blaming
the
him.
neck.
You hitting
Blaming the
behind
black
you're
man.
hitting behind the booth back there. Don't walk outside there, Philly.
Dario, we're gonna have an Ask the Manager show, and every day I
thought it
tell
said
Dario,
Ask the Manager.
every
I thought he
day,
said
every
that too.
every day I tell Dario when we doing the hip hop show, when we doing the fashion show, when we doing the film show, when we doing the athlete show, when we doing the law show, and he's like soon. And then I have all these angry hosts coming up to me. When can we do these shows? I'm like, Dario was supposed to talk. Dario ain't talking. No one. So that's the state of the network right now.
I'm not sure we're supposed to be discussing
Yes,
that right now.
yes, we're gonna
That's
go,
the news at
We're gonna go.
BHL.
That
Angry
that's
black man in the booth.
That's
the-
your angry white man.
that's the gossip. We're gonna go to the rumors now. Go ahead, Courtney.
That was the gossip for
That was the
Black
gossip,
Hollywood
yes.
Live, those in case you cared. But we have a lot of gossip and rumors going on this week. Some good stuff actually kind of going on. We've got SWV is coming back to our television / hopefully radios and iPods
Music
now. I was just about to
videos.
say like CD players. Nobody has those. So they apparently have. Yeah, I still got mine too. That's why I say that. So SWV, Sisters with Voices. For those of you guys who don't remember, they were a '90s R&B group that did amazingly well.
What was our
and
classic song? Weak.
Classic song was Weak, that everybody probably still knows the words to,
Era
including me.
choreography from their high school
Love
talent
it.
shows.
Love it. So they were a 90s girl group, 3 women, Coco, Lily, and Taj. And they broke up in the late 90s due to lots of infighting and hot messery, as seems to be the case with most girl groups. But now they're coming back. And in early 2014, we will have a reality show about their lives, them coming back together, dealing with the issues as to why they broke apart to begin with, and working on new music.
I love it. I'm excited.
Well, Coco has an amazing voice. She did a gospel album.
She did
Well, first
a
she did a
solo
solo
album
album,
and
then
a
she did a gospel
gospel.
album. And her voice, I've actually seen her in concert and interviewed her when I was at Vibe, and she's spectacular. And they all are really sweet girls.
Amazing.
They're
Yes.
really sweet women.
Yes.
So I'm happy they're coming back. They look good
Yes,
too.
They look good. They're moms now and have relationships behind them and lots of juicy things, I think, for a reality show.
Yeah,
So,
Taj is married to Eddie George.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
you know.
So WeTV is doing it up. First they had the Braxtons, now they're about to have Sisters with Voices. So check that out
We'll
early
be
next
watching.
year. Speaking of music, we have a collaboration in the works. For those of you brown ladies like myself out there that have a secret love affair with Maxwell, well, ladies, he's coming back, and he's coming back with a collaboration with Miss Alicia Keys. Now, they've done one song together before. It was called Fire We Make. That was quite a big hit for those of us that still want to be on the R&B tip. But they're coming back doing an entire album of duets. He called it, Maxwell himself called it, the Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell of now. So he's kind of trying to get that vibe and that flavor going. And those of you that don't know who Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell were, well, that is unfortunate. You should probably go on
Google
iTunes
them.
and get
After
something
you
out.
purchase The Adventures of Serial Buddies.
And
Then Google them. It's very
Or just hit
important.
them up in
that up.
iTunes.
Google that lesson.
download some songs. Ain't No Mountain High Enough can do it for you. But yeah, so they're trying to bring the R&B love back with a couple and duets, and I think that's awesome.
I love it. I just want Maxwell to come out with his
Oh.
second album. You know.
Summers is coming out
Okay.
later this year, so
Okay.
we will have a follow-up to Black Midsummer's Night. Is that
Yeah,
how
the-
it's
it's the
called?
follow-up,
Yes,
yeah.
it's a follow-up
The
to that.
second
So
follow-up,
that's
yeah.
still coming out, which is his solo album. But then he and Alicia Keys should have something out for us next year.
All right.
So I'm excited.
All right, way to
Yay,
make
Maxwell.
R&B come back.
Thank you. I need R&B really bad,
too.
and I discovered how much
Like
while
real
watching
R&B?
R&B divas. Yeah, like real R&B, like for real R&B. Anyway, so moving on. Speaking of music, our like weekly Kanye news. Okay. So Kanye West has a baby with Kim Kardashian. For those of you who have been hiding under a rock for the last month.
For real?
Yes, they had a baby. They named her
Congratulations.
Northwest. And so everybody's been vying for a photograph, an inkling of what this child looks like.
Okay, hasn't it been
smells
like literally like what?
It's been like 2 weeks.
3 weeks.
Maybe
She's 3
three,
weeks.
yeah.
Because it was the last week of June.
We didn't see Baby Blue for a long time either.
Well, I
though.
mean, that's what I'm tripping. I'm like, people, like, okay, great. She didn't release any photos. I get it because she's a celebrity usually. But a 3-week-old baby, you ain't supposed to be taking out the house
Right.
anyway. Most cultures believe that you need to stay in the house for 30 days
Yeah.
at least
And it's
before you
bad
bring
luck
her out.
otherwise, yeah.
So I'm not mad at them. But speaking of mad, Mr. Kanye West is real upset with Miss Kris Jenner. So Kris Jenner has been on the circuit promoting her new talk show that premieres next week called Kris. And apparently on Monday, when she visited the Today Show for an interview with Matt Lauer, she showed Matt Lauer a picture of baby North, which, for those of you who don't remember, Kanye West and Matt Lauer are not friends from 2010.
No.
And Kanye West is reportedly very, very upset about it, and he is not speaking to Kris, even though he's living in her house.
The shade.
The shade. But then when asked if Baby North would make an appearance on her show, Miss Kris Jenner, her quote is exactly this. Well, that's ambitious, and I think it would be fun. I think you're just going to have to wait and see and tune in.
I bet that's what she
Do
said.
you think it's going to happen?
No, I think she just
hope it
likes
doesn't.
the idea of people thinking
Thinking
that's what's
it
gonna
might happen, so they'll tune in and hope that it'll happen. You think Kanye will gonna give in to the Kardashian family?
Here's the
That should be
thing.
interesting, actually.
I feel like because I'm not gonna misquote anybody, but I was talking to somebody and they were alluding to the fact that Kanye's really cool with everybody from the family, especially Rob, but with Kris there's this anger because I guess she's pushing the relationship between Kanye and Kim as far as like marriage and all that stuff, and you know he kind of wants they want to do it on their own. They don't want to bring like weddings, like pricings and selling things and just on marriage and babies. Kanye's not into it. Kris is into it. That's a rumor that's spreading around. So
I mean, but isn't that like every mom who has a daughter
Yeah,
who
that's why
wants
it's
her
kinda-
daughter to who's had a
Except-
baby with a man? She
Except that
wants
your
to-
mom
yeah.
is Kim Kardashian.
well, no,
Is
no,
your
no.
mom a jerk?
It's
Yeah.
not about it's not about getting them married. It's more about getting them married on OK Magazine and that versus actually caring. Do you guys want to get married?
Well,
I hear you, but that's what you married into, and you knew what you were married into. So I don't really have a lot of sympathy
That's
for him on
true.
that sense.
I don't either.
You-
You impregnated her, and
yeah,
you knew
I
exactly
mean, you knew what you
she
were getting,
was,
so deal with it.
All right.
But I do kind of get.
I mean, that's my opinion.
I do think it was a little disrespectful of her to show the picture to Matt Lauer.
Oh, I agree
if
with
they're
that
keeping,
for sure. If there's an agreement to keep this
to keep
under
it
lock
on the
in
lock
family,
for now
for
until they
sure.
decide they're okay with showing people, then I would be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kris, maybe that wasn't such a great idea, but
But Kris comes across to me like she doesn't care
she
about that.
is on her own thing.
Interesting to see a new show.
I
Yes.
am interested to see how that goes down. So we'll see. It's coming soon next week. Okay, next up, we got 50 Cent back in the news this week.
50, 50, 50.
50. So 50 Cent apparently got into a little bit of a text tirade. And he was supposedly texting his son, Marquise. And essentially in the text, which are very, very long and elaborate and profane, which we will not go into too much detail about, but he called him effing dumb, effing stupid, and the worst one probably of all was requesting a DNA test because Marquise's mom, aka 50 Cent's baby's mother, is a D-sucking bee. And we'll leave it at that. But
Let me see if I can guess what you
See if
mean
we
by
can
that.
Figure out what that was. So they were supposedly arguing, sort of. He was supposed to come to the house and pick him up, and supposedly they got into this text war about some ridiculousness about him coming to pick him up and visit. And since that went down and was released to everyone to see, 50 Cent came back online and said that is, I'll quote him a little bit because, you know, we're trying to keep it clean up in here. That was his mother texting me as him. She sold that to a website. She hate me for winning. It's hard to replace me. And that is that. So he has since supposedly taken his son out of his will for his alleged behavior with all this text messagingness. And he's leaving all of his estate essentially to charity and to Tiffany Leidy, who is the daughter of
Chris Leidy.
Chris Leidy, who was a music executive and friend of Curtis.
Yes.
So,
Helped guide his career as well.
I mean, even if that was, his baby's mama, which I kind of believe, actually, based on the extent of the text messages, and if you read through it, it definitely sounds like the mom was sort of goading him. Dang, he had to get taken out the wheel like that?
I mean, that's a little harsh.
I mean, he only 16.
Yeah.
Like, jeez.
But then it's also, once again, don't put the stuff on text because it's going to get out. When you're angry, don't go to your text. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
but I
saying.
just don't get the kid taking the kid out of the will.
Yeah,
I just don't understand that part.
I think part of it seems based on the text messages that he feels like now you're a man and you're man enough to see through what's actually happening, and the fact that you don't either, maybe, I don't want to say stand up to your mom, but at least see the situation for what it is from both of their perspectives is kind of unfortunate.
I think
16's
also that maybe I'm not standing up for supporting either way, but maybe he felt just disrespected by his young son, and maybe that was just an anger move of, you're going to talk your smack when he thought it was his son allegedly texting him. If you're going to talk your smack, then you're man enough to take care of yourself too.
So I don't have to do it.
I don't have to do it. So it could be just we all make mistakes and we all do things sometimes in anger.
And wills can be changed.
So
maybe it was just like, I'm going to teach you a lesson.
Exactly.
And it's fine. But they are going hard at each other right now. Yeah. But such is life. Hopefully they'll work it out. But
hopefully they'll work it out.
That is what it is this weekend. Gossip and rumors.
Well, thank you, Courtney. And before we get into the hot topics, I want to remind you guys to go to iTunes, download Black Hollywood Live shows. We have portraits. We have This Week. We have Next. We have Stand Up, Sit Down. We have a new fashion show. We definitely want you guys to comment and rate us. Let us know what you like and what you don't like. Why are you laughing, Jesse?
What are some of the new shows that we're going to get?
Fashion 411. Check it out.
Fashion 411, yes. Check it out. No, we want to hear what you guys have to say. We definitely pay attention to that. You guys have been giving us great ratings, but we want to continue to grow the shows and pay attention to what you do and don't like so we can continuously give you exactly what you like. So go to iTunes.com and rate and comment for us.
Thanks, Dario.
No problem.
You're so good.
Thanks. All right. So on to hot topics. You guys remember Mos Def, rapper turned actor, and now he's going as Yasiin Bey. Well, recently in Cuba, in Guantanamo, Cuba, there have been prisoners who are basically being force-fed their food because they're basically starving themselves in a protest. A hunger strike. So within this hunger strike, Yasiin Bey, aka Mos Def, has decided to produce a video to show what the prisoners are actually going through, which includes force feeding them twice a day with a tube up their nose. And they say it's like 2-hour process. It leaves them with their throats dry, they gasp for air, they can't breathe, they're crying. It's intense pain through their nostrils, through their nose. Mm-hmm. We have a quick clip. I can't even, I watched the video, I can't even watch too much of it, but we have a quick clip that you guys can pay attention to see an example of what the process was for Yasiin.
I don't like.
It's painful. I mean, okay, so for you guys who are just listening, you can go to blackhollywoodlive.com and check out the 30-second clip that we have. They're saying that 100 of the prisoners are actually participating in the hunger strike. 44 of them are being force-fed, which we show this clip here. The American Medical Association and International Red Cross is opposing the force feeding, saying prisoners have a right to starve themselves. But the U.S. civilian and military person policy states that allowing persons to die by starvation is inhumane. Now, like I said, Mos Def, aka Yasmin Bey, is protesting this.
Can't we just put a cup of water and some bread in their room?
Well, this
not
is this is a
eating.
big debate right now, and personally, I feel like I get it that they feel like starving themselves is inhumane. But if these prisoners are choosing to do that, that's their personal right. I personally feel. What do you guys feel about that?
Oh, it is a really, really difficult question because it's not. They're technically under the U.S. government's custody. So if they just let them starve themselves and they just die, that is just not something that, from a government perspective, I think can be on the hands of the government.
Yeah, because it's in their facility.
If
If you weren't in our facility, you wouldn't have the idea of going on a hunger strike and wanting to kill your life wouldn't be ending now. So what? Now you're here, and I don't know. I feel you.
And there's just so much around the whole needing to close Guantanamo Bay, and that there's people that are in prison there now that should have long been released because they have
agree.
not been able to be linked to anything, and to just let them die based on the hunger strike, I just don't think it's an option from a country perspective. From a personal perspective, yeah, it's your right to starve yourself.
Yeah.
But I just think because of it's a prison, and we have some level of humanity that we are supposed to maintain in terms of our country and what we claim to be. And I think allowing the starvation to the point where they actually do die in our custody is not something that we can do.
Yeah, because I'm actually surprised that they're actually even force feeding them. So the fact that that's even happening, because if they weren't, then people would be like, they're just letting these people die there and they're not doing anything. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation for them.
Yeah.
But it's interesting too at the same point. I mean, obviously watching that for me is personally that looks very painful.
Yeah, well that's
However, at the same time,
So is
they're
dying of
trying to
starvation.
survive them. I mean, let them survive. And at the same time, you go on YouTube. I mean, the most popular YouTube video around right now is snorting a condom and pulling
Exactly.
it out of your mouth.
Yeah.
So
I missed
both
that
equally
one.
painful. People are doing it for fun. This is saving lives. I get both sides of it, but choosing to survive, to save someone's life, I think.
Can we not just
well.
do an IV?
Well, Yassine is saying that
Probably
he said the pain was unbearable, which we saw from that video. I mean, I wouldn't be able to survive it. I mean, my man was crying, he was choking. I mean, it was really intense. And
Y'all would not want to see a video of me doing that.
yeah, no, I feel like there might be another alternate. Like you said, maybe giving them bread and water, but they're not going to eat it. Regardless.
But then at least it's like, we gave it to them. It's literally by their bed. They don't got to eat it in the hall. They can eat in their, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they chose that. I at least give that type of, rather than not giving anything or, I don't know. I mean, it's a hard situation.
It's a
to
hard
talk
situation.
about.
Well, yeah, I mean, the point of the hunger strike is that even if the
Don't
food's
eat
there,
it.
they're not going to eat it, or they don't. But I mean, death by starvation is not a non-painful process.
Yeah.
So I don't make it seem like that this is way, way worse. I don't. Maybe it's not worse because when you're dying of starvation and it's your choice, then it's your choice to feel that pain. But like I said, under any other circumstances, if they weren't prisoners, I don't necessarily think that you should be force feeding them. But as a prisoner, you lose a certain level of your rights over your person.
I mean, that's true.
We're technically responsible for these people as a country, and I don't think it's something that we want to put out to the world that we allowed these hundreds of prisoners to die from hunger, even if it is a strike, because I think that in turn, I mean, it gives them the message that they want to send to everybody.
No, I know, and I hear you. I just feel like it's more inhumane of what we're seeing right there with them being force fed than someone just deciding to die and starve themselves. It's just my own personal thing. But I get.
I mean,
what
when
you're
you
saying.
did 3 years, how did you feel? How did you?
When they were force feeding me through
just
my nostrils.
Like, what did you do, Dario?
Yes, all right, yes. Another protest that's taking place in Michigan Highland Park School District. There's been a lot of controversy, and people are protesting there because there were a bunch of Black History
21st century Hamlet.
materials such as tapes, videos, books that were found in a dumpster. And so local residents found all these different materials there, and they're complaining about the school district because they're saying like now the students are not going to be able to learn their Black history. They're not going to know anything. They're even actually referencing this to like Hitler's times, where people were just abolished of all their personal items and the history of Jews and things like that. So, it's getting pretty deep there in Michigan. The school district says that the items were accidentally thrown away as a transition from being housed from a public space to a place that had lock and key. So a lot of the local residents aren't believing this. They think that there might be something more to it. They feel like that the school district has been under scrutiny in the last year as well because they've been under some financial constraints in this district. So they feel like possibly this could be some type of tie-in to alleviate some of these things, some of these programs such as Black History in the school districts. I see the case. I mean, I see how people are really in an uproar about this because obviously Black history is something that we need, and a lot of kids aren't learning their history nowadays. But what do you guys personally feel?
Like, what was thrown away? Like, I didn't have like a Black history book. Like,
this is what they said. They said materials included in the bin,
and the fact that they even
trash
had
can
that
were historic collections of Black history books, tapes, films, and from the district high school library.
So it sounds like they had a specific like space and maybe some small programs surrounding Black history, and all those materials were tossed and disposed of. I would like to believe that it was accidental. I don't know how they were found, like we were talking about before. Maybe they were in a box and somebody just threw away the wrong box and didn't look in it. But the fact
whoever that guy is that did that, he's shitting his pants
such
right
an
now.
idiot.
Damn it.
I think, but at the same time, when sometimes groups of people just kind of go with the group, like you kind of hear like, oh, they're racist, and then everybody sort of jumps on the bandwagon. But at the same time, if there's a budget cut issue, like there sounds like there's some inklings of, it would be easier if we didn't have to like have a Black history like separate section and have a way to maintain it, and historic collections of books and things like that may require like very specific care taking, so to speak. So maybe there's a little extra to it in that town, and
it's just weird that they're just thrown away, like not given to Salvation Army, not given to, you know what I mean,
well,
or put some.
when you're
Yeah,
moving,
but here's what I think.
like-
I think they were moving some stuff. And probably didn't know the importance of it. Who knows who they had moving these items?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you probably think it was an accident.
Yeah, I think it was an accident personally. I mean, because I feel like they wouldn't be dumb enough in the district, especially when they're already under scrutiny.
Let's take all of our
African
African-American content, put it in this
put it in this bin. I just feel like that wouldn't be the smart move because someone would notice, especially if it's leaving the library. They said that the district's enrollment has declined 58% in the recent years. So that's why some of them are like, whoa, what's going on? Is this something that was intentional or not intentional? So, well, we need our Black history though. We need to keep that in our schools.
Well, that's the point. Maybe the problem is that we got to have a whole separate set of Black history-ness. If we would put it in the darn history book with everything else.
So
it wouldn't
actually,
get
maybe
thrown
this is
away.
a positive thing.
Yes.
They was like, no, we won't go, and we're gonna take. They got to throw the other books away too. But I'm just saying, let's put some of that history into.
Throw some Black history, some Native American history, and the
Let's
full history
have a
books,
full
and
history.
we won't have this problem, guys.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, it's funny.
Problem
I did a little study on a little research on a couple other cases. They were saying other controversial school-related cases. In 2012, a student at a Georgia school, they were given a math problem that referenced. These are fourth graders that
remember
referenced
this.
a slave plantation.
Yeah.
One of the questions on their actual math problem was a plantation owner had 100 slaves.
Yes.
If 3/5 of them are counted for representation, how many slaves will be counted?
There was a
that was
really
an actual
racist
question.
a-hole.
That was an actual question.
And that I do not think was coincidence. That
That
think
is not coincidence.
on purpose.
That is not
3/5?
coincidence.
Really? That was not an accidental fraction on there.
Also in Florida, in Sunrise, Florida, April 2012, a second grade student, you know how we have our class pictures? A second grade student missed his class picture because he didn't get the proper, signage from his parents to sign off on the form. So the teacher instead put a photograph of a brown-colored smiley face on top of the student's picture.
I remember that too.
Now that's racist. God damn. That's racist.
But you know what's funny though? Like,
Wait a minute. So
Isn't
he was
that-
in the picture, but he couldn't be seen because
He couldn't be
wasn't
seen because
signed?
he didn't sign.
So they had to
So
cover
they were,
his
so
face
they
somehow.
technically have to bleep him out. So the teacher took a black smiley face and put it on top of his face.
you know, though, the truth
Or
is
brown.
that
Excuse me,
it was
brown. Excuse me, brown smiley
I
face.
think that teacher meant well.
Yeah, because
But
low-key, if it was a
that-
white person, they would have put the yellow face
That
on.
was
and- 'cause
vacant.
Listen, I don't even put no image. Put
I'm not mad at- I'm not as
put
mad
the
as that one as
put
I am with the
school
plantation.
logo on that or something. Don't put no little brown face
But
over
that's
a little
because
brown smiley
some
face on
people
my.
are so removed from realizing like things like that are a problem. Like there's some people that would look at that and be like, oh, until you like pointed it out to them, like, do you realize?
That's crazy
and it's
racist.
really
I'm sorry.
sad, but it's ignorance. It's not
It's
racist.
ignorant. But it is.
Dude, no, but honestly, I've
It's
seen my
ignorant.
friends' yearbooks where if you didn't make it for your yearbook picture,
It says not pictured.
no, it doesn't even say that. I mean, that's what my school did. Their school had wild animals placed in the thing, and it was just a random animal. So I
Don't
mean,
start
See,
with-
and then it's
don't-
gonna be a
listen,
monkey.
there's gonna be a
Oh,
monkey or a
it's gonna be
zebra.
over.
Don't get me started. Don't put the animal. Leave the animals alone.
I'll take the happy face any
I'm-
day. At least
listen,
the face was happy. Like
I'm
no.
just saying. Put
at
the
least it
school-
was a
It
human.
was at least it was a face.
Put just like a I don't know. Put something. Anything. I don't know.
blank.
Just blank. Just blank.
Not
Just not
pictured.
pictured.
And be done.
So
No
that's what's going on there. All right.
Oh my God.
Our final topic of today is we talk about relationships. We've had that subject in these sessions with us for Black Hollywood Live this week. Essence just recently reported 9 facts about divorce and relationships for black couples. So I'm going to read them line by line, and we can kind of go through those and see what everybody feels about it. So in reference to divorce, it says it takes a village to get a divorce. And what they meant by that is that when you're black, you're married to the entire person's family. I would say that's true,
I
but
mean, isn't that with
I
everybody?
mean, isn't that with everybody? Yeah. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like they generalize these black things, but okay, that's fine. But I agree that the black family is heavily involved in their children's households. But I also would say that that's for a lot of other races too.
yeah.
for many.
It says women pull the purse strings, meaning African American women tend to be better educated and higher earners, so they have the control in ending the relationship. They say that women tend to end the relationship over the men because of the educational advantage that women have. Now, is that true?
I see that
don't-
over. Well, I wouldn't consider that with like in the Latin race or in white definitely. I see these white girls, they be with some people and you just like, girl, you know you need to leave him, and she's like, he loves me. Where the black girl be like, okay, and bye. Like, no.
Yeah, but then that goes back to our question about
Yeah,
materialism,
that
because we've said
y'all
that
was
black
calling
women
the black girls gold
tend
diggers
to
a
be
couple weeks
called
ago.
gold diggers quicker than white women
But
in
the
other races.
reality is that the women have the money in most of the relationships for black girls. So that gold digger nonsense
See,
is crap.
I think that this statistic, I think we need a new statistic, because I know a lot of educated black men who are doing their thing, who are running their households
Dario.
just like the women. So that whole thing
Dario.
about the women only being the providers is some
Dario.
crap. I'm
Dario.
sorry.
They didn't
Come
say
on.
we're the only provider.
Well, the
They
main
said majority.
majority providers.
And think about all of those educated black men. I mean, I come from education and I know a lot of educated black men, and I'm not trying to take it somewhere I don't need to go, but a lot of times they are not with black women.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm not going to argue that point.
Exactly.
Topic number 3.
And number 3, they say mental health neglects and marriage is also in the mix. So what they're saying is that black people tend to not go to
They
couples
run away
therapy.
from therapy.
They run away from therapy, which is true. I'm gonna say that that's true. I think that it's changing a little bit with our generation.
A little bit.
A little bit, but history being, I've seen it, and I'm sure
They
a
say
lot
go
of
to
us
church.
have. They say that's the next one, but we tend to not go to therapy to get help. We tend to figure out other outlets, and which goes back to what Courtney says. Number 4 is called condition for call and response, meaning that we look for church and preachers' messages to guide us through the problems versus, going to see some real help.
Don't
And
say
I-
real help.
Yeah.
Going to see
Okay.
help.
Going
Outside
to see
help.
help. Well, I'm not going to say that every preacher should be giving advice
'cause
to
I
every
don't-
person who is married. So
I
I'm gonna
have
say,
issues with my preacher.
I'm going to say real help because it's someone who is educated
Well-
to train us, and we learn from that person
Well, I
versus
just-
someone's opinion.
I'm going to say from a black person's perspective, especially with the church community, that to
Coming
say
from.
real help I mean that could apply to the
What you trying to say, I'm
therapist
not black?
also. I'm just saying I don't know what you're talking
Wait,
about.
did this just turn into something totally
I
different?
know. I'm like, of course you're black. Well, I'm just saying.
I'm kidding. Because she said coming from a black person's perspective. I was
Black
like, hello,
person's
I'm a black person's perspective.
I'm a black person's
A black
perspective.
A
female.
black female perspective.
From a black, I'm kidding. From a black female perspective of the whole church idea, I don't want to say when you say real, that is to say that there are not real places in churches where
Yes.
people do get help, and I just want to put it out there.
And
that
I agree.
still
And
exists because there are
excuse
therapists.
my choice
There
of
are
words.
therapists
I
in
agree
church,
with you.
and there are shady therapists that are not very good that you go to
And I
outside
agree
of the
with you
church.
I've had
so
both.
we want
I-
real help from both areas
From
if
both
that's
areas.
what you choose.
That and I agree, and I excuse my
I
choice
was just
of
trying
words.
to keep the mamas from like sending
Calling me and
messages
sending me the
and being like,
emails.
real help? What you talking about?
Right.
My preacher know what he talking
And
about.
listen, I love my preacher, so I get it, I understand. But
Exactly.
I'm just saying, a person who has been trained
as a
for
therapist.
as a therapist to give pertinent
Relationships,
advice
yes.
to relationships. That's what I'm saying. Okay, number 6.
Y'all almost had a divorce here on
We
set.
almost had a divorce on BHL. All right.
You like
Well,
white
speaking of
girls
divorce,
anyway?
oh,
I'm joking. I'm
Oh,
totally
wow,
kidding.
I'm about
I
to
have
get some-
no idea. I'm
see,
totally
she's starting
joking.
rumors here.
I'm
She's
totally
starting rumors.
joking.
All right, number 6 is divorce is for spouses, not for children. It says in the black community, what tends to happen is that many fathers who get divorces from their spouses simply disappear from the family and walk away.
Yeah.
Now, see, once again, I'm going to argue that because they're all these statistics. I understand what they're writing, but there's also cases where it's case by case. We just talked about 50 Cent. He's fighting with his baby's mama. Sometimes you fighting with the person, and then you have to, you
He's
don't
actually
have
the
a
perfect
choice.
example right
you don't
now.
have a choice but to distance yourself because otherwise it could cause a bigger problem. Later down the line, you're fighting with the baby's mama.
Okay, you
I'm-
can distance yourself, but you don't have to take yourself 100%. Like with his situation, it's like you're taking this child out of your will. Okay, and if you're blaming him at the
That's,
age of
that's
16,
the
He's not-
extreme.
he's
I'm not
talking
talking about
about
that. I'm just talking about distancing yourself.
Because you, as a black man, you could end up easily in jail for some crap
Some
that goes down
dumb
with baby
stuff.
mama stuff when
Yes,
you're trying.
that's what
but
I'm
that's
saying.
why brothers go to court.
Well, that's true.
they don't want to be snitches.
Yes.
Go to court. They don't want to. Well, I'm not going to say that. Go on.
Number 7 is it says different skills are needed for divorce. What the doctor suggests is that before people consider divorce, African Americans need to look before they leap, is what he said. A lot of African American women are not prepared for the lifestyle changes after divorce, meaning they lose medical coverage. They have to move from a house to an apartment, which is actually perfect. Also, 50 Cent, we'll use him for an example. We can use Allen Iverson. We can use so many in this example because I do think that causes problems too because of lifestyle, and they think that they're entitled to certain things, and then you find out later
Because they are entitled to it. Because
not
that's what
everyone
you
is
promised them
entitled.
when
Not
they
everyone
got
is entitled.
married.
Not everyone's entitled. Some are.
You're entitled to it, doggone it, especially if you got their kids.
Hey, listen, this is just what Essence said.
I'm totally
I'm just saying what
being
Essence.
the devil's advocate because I don't believe in that.
All right, last one. It says mother doesn't always know best. Or excuse me, there's 2 more. This is number 8. Mother doesn't always know best, meaning more African American fathers are now stepping up and getting custody of children over women. So
That's not an African American. That's just period.
that's
in
in
general.
that's in general.
Well, I think that's just because we're actually that's a sign that we're growing as a society, that we don't have this perception that we've put on ourselves that only mom can raise the
Take
child
care.
right, like, and that it's supposed to be the mom under
Right.
all circumstances, and dad should see him every other weekend, which
Yeah.
I don't understand. But
I just
It's
don't like
nice.
it where it's the mom who's bashing the dad, even if you don't get along with that, or vice versa,
That
where the
happens
dad's
either way.
bashing the mom.
Nobody should do that.
No one should do it in front of the children. You know, that's my own personal advice. All right, number 9. Apologies can be a divorce antidote. So it says that people have a hard time saying sorry, and a lot of families could be rescued if they just simply said sorry.
that's everybody,
Well,
man.
and it's
Yeah.
funny because
Can't we
I
all
just
just
think
get
the
along?
number one divorce
saying
thing
sorry.
is listening. And I mean, I don't think it's a color thing,
No.
but if we want to make it for this
Sure.
topic a color
Yeah.
thing, when it comes down to it, for the most part, the dudes just don't want to listen, and the girls just keep talking, and they don't want to listen as well. It just comes to the fact of neither party wants to listen because in their mind, they both think they're right. And rather than looking at it from an outside perspective looking in, they don't want to give that other person
The power.
Yeah, the power.
It's really the power.
That's the human condition.
Yeah.
We're all
And
afraid
if
to
you
be
guys want
vulnerable.
to have a session with Jesse, he is available, and you can.
Therapies.
Where can they reach you at, Jesse, if they want to talk to you more about that great therapy session you just gave me?
Y'all can hit me up
And-
at DJ Jesse J.
Courtney.
Find me at Stuart Starlet.
And you can find me at Daryl Kristen on Facebook, Instagram finally, and Twitter.
Me too.
Even though he don't got no damn pictures up.
I got no pictures, but that's okay. It's all right. It's coming. Thank you guys for tuning in to Black Hollywood Live this week. Be sure to tune in next week for Portraits, because we're going to have the #1 highest grossing black director in Hollywood, Tim Story. You know him from Fantastic Four, Think Like a Man, Think Like a Man 2, Taxi. He's the man. He's going to be joining us for Portraits and possibly for Hot Topics as well. So stay tuned in for that.
Nice.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Sweeten, Dario Kristen, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network. If you have questions or comments, tweet us at BHL Online or email us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. For more exclusive content, visit blackhollywoodlive.com. This has been a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network.
Hollywood redefined.
Hollywood redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.